Welcome to Home and Away, a Tottenham Hotspur podcast hosted by myself, Graham Spice, and Glenn Cowie, where we talk about all things Tottenham Hotspur from both the match attending and international supporters' view. Glenn, are you good?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I just showed you off air the quite miserable weather to my left. It's blowing a gust. Late winter, early spring. But I'm good. I'm really good from a Tottenham perspective. Great performance, which we'll get to in a bit. But before we do that, I should absolutely introduce our guest, Alex. So, Alex, you're obviously joining from the UK. But our guests and viewers and listeners will soon learn that you are a Brazilian living in the UK, right? From Sao Paulo?
I am, yes. I'm from Sao Paulo. I've been living in the UK, in London, for 10 years now.
Awesome. So, help me understand, a Spurs fan or... And I'm going to maybe lean... Graham, are you responsible for this?
I think I've had a hand in it, let's put it that way. But I think it was quite interesting because when I can't remember the guy's name. Who was the guy we had on last from Denver?
Hugh.
When we had Hugh on, Alex messaged me after he watched the episode and said, I've got a lot in common with Hugh because one of the main reasons I'm a Tottenham fan is because I hate Arsenal.
Yeah.
Well,
so it was he had a similar origin story.
Yes.
Well, we welcome that. So, Alex, tell us about that, mate. So, your dislike for Arsenal got you to arrive at being a Spurs fan, by the sounds of things.
Yes. I think around 2017 or 2018, I went to quite a few Premier League matches. I knew someone from a company that worked in the same building where I was working back then, and he somehow had access to several Premier League tickets, VIP boxes. So I got to go to quite a few. I always found it very interesting. In terms of stadium, there's nothing that looks like and that feels like the new Spurs stadium. So I had been, I think I went once in the old one, a couple of times in the new one. And I think I went with you, Graham, maybe three or four times, I think. And a recent convert. But yes, spawned by the hatred for Arsenal.
Well,
because just as just having some friends, knowing some people that just really
I think I just browbeat him into it in the end.
As always, yes.
Constant messages about Tottenham and all things White Hart Lane.
We have him on as well, but my brother-in-law Ryan lives in Las Vegas, but he's now a Spurs fan by virtue of a similar outcome of me browbeating it into him. But he surprised me a few years ago. He was like, because kick-off times are sometimes like 4 or 5 in the morning, and he was up watching it, and I'm like, oh, cool, it's worked.
That's proper dedication.
Yeah. Well, Graham, first off, mate, I know you got some questions for Alex. Obviously, over my left shoulder, there's one of our most famous Brazilians in terms of, we've had Brazilian players over the years. Some have worked out, some haven't. But maybe, Graham, over to you, man. How are you, Graham? Are you keeping well?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Obviously, very happy after the weekend's football. We can talk about that a bit later on. And I'm going on Saturday as well, so I'll be there for the Bournemouth game. So looking forward to that. Yeah, so all in all, can't complain apart from... Obviously, the transfer window is now less than a week left. I think it closes at 7 p.m. next Monday, which is a weird time because it gets earlier and earlier. It used to be midnight, and then it was 11, and now it's 7.
Yeah, it's 7, yeah.
I don't know why. It just seems a bit odd. So, I'm hoping that we can do some business and strengthen the squad a bit. Nothing more than that, really. But, generally, very, very happy.
Yeah, good. I've got a few things to say on the transfer stuff, but before I do that, I want to give Alex as much airtime as we can as a guest, but you had some questions for Alex, Graham, around.
I did.
Particularly, I think, with Charlison, and then
a few
forever
things.
Forgotten figure of Paulinho.
Yes, I picked the kind of two ends of the spectrum, I think. So I'm really interested, Alex, how Richarlison's regarded in Brazil, because I have to say, if you compare him to other Brazilian number 9s, he's the most British Brazilian footballer I think I've ever seen. Everything you expect him to have as a Brazilian, he doesn't seem to have. And he just looks like a very typical English centre forward. So I've always found that really weird. So I don't, because he still gets picked. He's just been called up again this week, hasn't he, for the Brazilian squad? I was just wondering how he's considered in Brazil.
Yeah, just a couple of hours ago, Ancelotti released the list of players for the last 2 games of the qualifiers, the World Cup qualifiers, and he's there. He's always been there. The problem with Richarlison is not exclusive to him. It's the fact that he is always going to be measured against players that we
Ronaldo.
don't have anymore. Ronaldo, exactly. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, like the Romario,
Yes.
those guys that we.
The bar was set pretty high, wasn't
Yes,
it?
exactly. So I don't think people see there's nothing inherently like wrong. So it's just the fact that people expect something that there is, there's no
It's just
way
not
of.
there. Yeah.
It's just not there. This doesn't exist anymore. And it's not just him. I think
Do you think that's an issue generally in Brazilian football? It's more workmanlike than it probably has been for a while, or
Yes, I think it's a fact that we have now a generation of players. In terms of, again, just raw talent, the thing that we were used to in Brazilian football, just as a generation of players that is, I'm going to say the poorest, like the worst in terms of just raw talent, at least since my lifetime. I still remember the 1982 World Cup. I'm old enough to remember Socrates, Zico, all those guys. So if you take, I think in the Brazilian, it was showing the list of players in the 1994 squad, which I think was a very boring performance.
Dunga comes to mind.
Yeah, Dunga. But if you look at the reserve players, that all of them would make the squad today. They would probably start, all of them. It's a very different style that I think every team.
Do you
plays.
think what I've noticed as well is that the European clubs are picking up Brazilian players younger and younger, so they're trying to catch a gem. Do you think that means that they end up having all that coached out of them at an early age, and so they end up like as bog standard European players rather than learning it on the streets of Brazil like they probably always used to do?
Absolutely, yes. There was a time when only the top players they came to play in Europe, the Brazilian, like just real talent, and then they started to come, more and more in numbers, and now to a point where some very young players, they're chosen by some clubs because they have Italian descendancy or they have Portuguese, because they can have the passport and they can come play here.
It's easy to get them over. Yeah.
Yes, age 14, 15, 16, they're already like being targeted by clubs. And yes, I think that's also.
I've read. I think when I read Pochettino's autobiography, it's similar in Argentina, that it's almost like they're farming the kids. Like they'll get dozens and dozens of kids into and basically they're just it's basically human trafficking. I want to put find a point on it, but that's exactly what it is, right? They're selling people into not slavery, football slavery.
Yeah. And also young kids, they don't. Most of them, like if they're starting to play football, they don't dream of playing as my generation, we dream of playing for Corinthians, for Flamengo,
But because all the international football's on the TV now, right? So they can watch Real Madrid and Barcelona and Manchester City and
exactly.
I never really considered that, how much difference that made. It must be the same even in America, right? Where it was never a televised sport until probably the noughties, really. Like properly televised, right? So anywhere it was a college sport in the US predominantly, right? So it must be very similar. Interesting.
It's a part of the world when it comes to football that fascinates me. Like I mentioned off air, Alex, that obviously I got down there for the 2014 World Cup. And look, this sounds so cliche, but it happened. We were coming out of our hotel, and there was like a couple of little alleyways behind us, and there was this group of kids kicking around for want of a better word, it wasn't a ball. It was just made up of rubbish. It was I don't know how they'd fashioned it, and we just brought a little mini kind of souvenir World Cup ball. So we threw it down and we started playing with them, kicking the ball around, and then we played for about 20 minutes, and then it came over, and the kid was like probably 5, 6, and he's like, "Oh, can we keep the ball?" And I was like, "Yeah, keep the ball." I was like, "Take the ball." So it was one of those things, and they were good players, like just.
Yeah.
Almost reminds me of a sketch in Mike Bassett, the England manager, the one where they go to get the ball back off the Mexican kids and they can't get the ball.
Yeah. And just kicking a ball around with these kids that ranged in age of 5 or 6 up until about 12 or 13. Yeah. Technically brilliant, really good players.
There is still a lot of that, but also I think there's a general sense that just skills won't really bring us. I think Brazil got very traumatized after 1982, so they started playing more of a
pragmatic.
Let's say, exactly, much more pragmatic, much more like play. Win 94 was an example. I really didn't enjoy seeing that team play, but they won it, and penalties was but they still won it.
Yeah,
I think 2002 was was a very different figure because, I mean, just the quality, the amount of players. There was always the sense that Brazil could win with just the quality of the players. So we've always had like there was a massive gap. There still is a massive gap in terms of like the managers. Tactically speaking, was never a big thing in Brazil. They were always relying on the freedom and the improvisation. So it was also something that I think it's part of the not having such a great success. Some players from Brazil coming to play here in the big leagues. But now that we don't have the players anymore, there's no player today like if you take the 2002 team, so the Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, those guys, they were the main players in there, so the top clubs in Europe. We have some very, very good players that are, very important, but none of them is like that player that people think, oh, he's going to solve the problem that we have with this or that. They're just pass the ball to him and they're going to do what needs to be done. We don't have that anymore. We don't have the main man from, each of the top clubs here as we used to have.
It goes a bit overlooked, I think, just how good Ronaldo was, like R9. I talk about some of the kids, like my best mate here, his son, CR7, loves Ronaldo, and I was like, he's not the original Ronaldo.
No, I think unless you saw him play.
I mean, and just such a shame with his injuries, but he was something else.
He was like a cheat code, wasn't he?
Yes,
incredible.
In terms of skills, he was fantastic. Yeah. Even after his injuries, even like way out of shape, he was already like out of shape and like really with his bending. He played his last year and a half, 2 years played for Corinthians, and because of again the level of our football there was already like very low, that he was much better than anyone else
with one leg.
Yes, exactly. Which like what he could do was just incredible. Like the amount of goals that he was scoring again with a bad knee and like completely out of shape. But it was and for a while, and he still brought lots of fans to the stadium. So for many years, Corinthians was like surfing the wave of having Ronaldo club in terms of revenue and in terms of new fan base and all that. But he was something else.
Great stuff.
Speaking, just to switch it to speaking of Brazilians that didn't quite cut the
that's
mustard.
where I was going. Yeah.
So the other one that we had Paulinho.
Yeah.
Who I sent you a video earlier today, Alex, which is probably the worst miss ever in football.
Yes.
Which was his shot against Burnley away, which I remember that game because the noise in the stadium when he did it from the away end was like, it was bad. It was like the biggest exhale I've ever heard.
It was bad.
I actually remember one of his, I think it might have been his first goal, or one of his, because he scored away to Cardiff with that like cheeky, almost back-heeled volley. Like it was a corner and he like flicked up, and it was quite a good goal, but then I don't really remember him doing much else other than annoying me.
Yeah. I think that maybe the first few matches he was still like being a bit.
We thought we got absolutely, because I think he just won the Copa America.
Yes.
And like he'd been, I thought, this is absolutely amazing. We've got this guy, and that it was a great signing, but it just never worked. And what I never understood as well was not only did it not work, but then he buggered off and did really well at Barcelona.
Yes.
What is wrong with us that we break any player? It's him.
I think it was back when. Well, first of all, when he was really playing his best at Corinthians, so he was like the freedom to really. That kind of like box-to-box player. We had another defensive midfielder who basically used to
do all the work for him.
Just go. If you want to go, just go. So he was more of an attacking midfielder in that sense. He is regarded by most Corinthians fans as one of the best that we ever had. I think he was really good.
I think whatever he had, he left it in Corinthians. He left it there when he came over.
I think that he had to adapt to a much more. I think it's a different, obviously. Tactical.
He was never really cut out for away games at Burnley, was he?
That's what the physicality, the speed of the game. He wasn't really used. I remember one game where you could see that he was kind of lost with the speed of the game because it was a very different kind of game.
It's quite a very athletic game, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Much very, very different. He didn't really have that, and I think he also had. I think it was like between Villas Boas. I can't remember who was after Villas Boas before.
Did Sherwood have him? I think it's Sherwood. Was it when Sherwood came in?
It was Sherwood. Yeah, like
Yeah.
four. Yeah, yeah, I think it was about three managers. Not really right at when when Spurs had sold like Kane, so it was a bit of a nothing really very easy. But the fact that he went to Barcelona and he still managed to
Yeah.
produce like some good food was a is a bit of
It just goes to show
a kick
you
in the teeth
it's
there.
never the player, it's always Tottenham. We
Yeah,
can do it
indeed.
to anyone.
Well, talking about Tottenham,
Yes.
the game against City, what normally happens when we have these great fixtures with kickoff time, 9:30 p.m., we usually lose. Like, genuinely, I can't remember many that we've won when it's a
I
lovely
don't like
kickoff time.
lunchtime kickoffs
Yeah,
either.
lunchtime kickoffs we just seem to not be very good at. But, I mean, I've been messaging with a mate. Like, I don't think that result can be understated. Like, that's City's first home game. They've got some really good players in that side. They're coming out to impress. They've played well against Wolves. They scored a lot of goals. We just completely nullified them. Like
Yeah,
we
it was a coaching masterclass for me.
absolutely. I
You
mean,
could go through the team and man for man. If
Spence,
you were
how good
picking,
was Spence?
yeah, but if you were on paper, if you looked at those two teams, you would
Yeah.
and you put together a combined 11, you'd pick most of the Man City players, right? But you wouldn't. Not when you saw them play on the day. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
It just worked, didn't it? That it's weird as well because midfield three, two of those were players that we probably would have been okay if they'd have sold after last season because they didn't really do anything for us. They poor seasons by their own standards, but actually they were two of the best players on the pitch, like
It's almost
Bentancur
like
and Sarr.
yeah, we're trundling along in this early season, and there's this noise with the transfer window, which we'll get to in a minute, about our lack of number 10, need a winger, etc., etc. But I give a counter argument to all of that. Have we actually got a manager that knows a way to set up and play with those deficiencies in the squad, right? Like, because if we played if we had say Maddison was fit and he played on Saturday, I don't think Maddison presses like that. I don't think Maddison runs like that. He doesn't give you that
No.
workman like what Sarr gives you or Bentancur gives you. Polini are different. He's just a complete enforcer, isn't he? But the way we're setting up, he seems quite happy to put runners and workers in the team, and it worked. Everyone put a shift in, every single player. But what about you, Graham? You obviously you were watching at home, I assume.
Yes, I watched it at home on my own. On my own. He was a bit nervy going into it,
Yeah.
got to be honest. But I did have this feeling that we might do something again. I think we mentioned it in the last pod, but it turned out better than I expected because we didn't. What I expected us to do was play the five at the back, soak up a lot of pressure, and a bit like what we did against PSG, like try and counter attack and hit them on the break. But we didn't really. We pressed them in their own half and forced the mistake that led to one of the goals. Just felt that they didn't have an answer for anything. I mean, it was about 80 minutes before I realised Haaland was on the pitch, which goes to show how well we'd nullified them. He hardly got a look in. I can't remember having a shot on goal.
Yeah, agreed. And we mentioned him earlier, but Richarlison, so 2 goals in the first game and 2 assists, because he got the assist for the second, because he was the one that had if you watch the replay of the second, we pressed really well, but then he had the sense of mind to get out the way almost and shunt it to Polini, who just... It was a really well-worked goal in the end. But Alex, did you watch it, mate, at home, or did you have it on the box? What did you make of it, mate? Similar view?
Similar view. I was also very impressed. I wasn't expecting that, as much as we were all like trying to see it was, but I wasn't expecting that kind of performance. I found it very interesting that when Graham messaged me with that kind of second goal is the kind of goal that we would usually concede.
Yeah, it's true.
Things were going.
Last season, we'd have been passing it around the back, give the ball away, and then they'd have scored. It would have been
Exactly. So I think everything went well, and I think it was a lot better. It was it wasn't one of those, a fluke. No, it was like really a clear display of superiority. It was really, really, really well. Every single player.
I think there's still I'm not looking at this Man City side and seeing a cohesive unit yet. I think they've got 6 new signings. So there's a lot of changes, and they had to, right, because the squad was getting old. And I just saw this stat from the game. The average starting age. Let me start that again. City's starting 11 averaged 24 years and 326 days, and that's their youngest Premier League 11 since 2010. So it goes to show you that the squad was quite old because they've got rid of De Bruyne and Kyle Walker, and so that they've a lot of older players have been moved on, and they've brought in some young talent. So maybe they'll take a while to blend.
Baptism of fire for Trafford, though, wasn't it? Like, I was like, I felt
it's so weird.
A little part of me felt a little bit sorry for him, but I was like, no, I don't. But
I still think that's so weird that they're moving him on.
I mean, Edison is not a bad keeper.
I'd still have him.
Yeah.
I just think that's so weird.
Speaking of keepers, I thought Vicario had a good game. Like everything that's good about his game was on show there. Like he made some
even
really
his distribution was pretty good. There's a couple of times we played sort of mid and long range balls rather than just playing out from the back all the time. So mixing it up a bit, it kept them guessing, and I don't think they couldn't set up one way against us. And also that Romero left foot, that distribution out to the wing as well. A few times he hit a really sweet pass. That's a really great out ball to have as well.
Yeah. Well, the first goal, when they obviously... One thing I'll say for that check, it goes a bit quicker, it seems to, with the semi-automated, but I didn't really need it.
Still quite slow though, wasn't it?
I was
didn't think it was that quick.
I didn't think it was that close. I was like, well, it looks on to me.
Yeah.
And I was like... Well, the irony with that is, pre-VAR, the goal gets chalked off because the lino flagged.
Yeah.
So I was happy for it to be obviously confirmed. Again, Johnson, does he do anything else but score?
Back post. Johnson at the back post.
Yeah. So
there's someone put a really great, I think it was a video of the crowd after he'd scored, and they pan round. I don't think the guy who was videoing it knew it, but as he panned round, Johnson's dad's in the crowd celebrating with him.
Right.
So that was quite cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to try and find that video. If I find it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
So it's like there's that, and then Vicario's parents were there again. They're always there. They're like the Udine Spurs Udine. I think his uncle runs the Spurs Udine supporters club.
How good. Well, I thought, and overall the performance was excellent, but then Thomas Frank in high company in terms of Conte and Mourinho are the only other two managers to do it with two different clubs.
Supposed to,
And all three of them, one of them was Tottenham.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. We just have the Indian sign over them, don't we? Just absolutely.
It's crazy.
I couldn't tell you what it is, because if you looked on paper at all of those matches, the ones that we come out like last season 4-0.
Yep.
They're traumatized. They're definitely traumatized by it.
There's definitely something. We're in their heads before we even start the match, aren't we? Now they're starting to believe it. It's like it's very weird.
And I think like I messaged on a group I'm in here, and I was like, look, that can't be understated. It's such a good result, but it's like we've got to follow it up now with Bournemouth at home. We've got to win that, like, because Spurs or even last season we were losing at home to some pretty diabolical teams. But we've got to follow it up. But Alex, where do you sit on that, on the Spursy tag that we finally won a trophy? We finished 17th, but like, do you have concerns for the Bournemouth game, or do you see us with a manager now that just horses for courses and sets us up in a way where we just win that game?
Yeah, I think I've learned to kind of, sometimes
temper your enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that there's also part of the enthusiasm and that new thing that, a new manager. So players that were used to not having a chance, maybe now they have to show, something else because they might have a chance. But I think you can already see like a lot more, cohesion in there. It's a lot more
coached,
balanced. It's a lot more, exactly.
Is the word,
structured.
Yeah, so it seems to me that it doesn't seem to be a fluke.
It's not a fluke, right? It's hard work on the training pitch.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between our set pieces, both defensive and offensively, it's like night and day. They just look like a coached unit.
He's come out recently, I think this week, and said that Matty Wells deserves all the credit. Not all the credit, but a lot of the credit for the defensive unit. Like, I guess he's been very much involved in that. Is Matt Wells essentially the assistant or one of the coaches, right? 'Cause he was
one of his coaching staff.
Which is great. And then Cochrane is the other guy, isn't it? Who came with him from Brentford, who seem to be together a lot. And what I like is when you pan to Frank, he's always working. He always seems to be working.
Yeah.
Like, he's looking at stuff. He's very... And look, as I said, if I meet Ange Postecoglou, which is more realistic than people might think because he's from around the corner, if he's ever back for a visit, I'll hug him and I'll say, thank you for giving me what you gave me. But tactically, I think we can all agree he was found wanting. And Frank seems to be tactically astute in terms of what we need.
One thing I made the mistake of listening to TalkSport,
Oh, God.
and Jamie O'Hara was likening the Spurs midfield to Klopp's Liverpool in terms of work rate, and I'm like, that's a bit premature, right? So we're 2 games into the season. Let's get a whole season under our belts and see how we're doing. And I'm not saying that they weren't great; they were, but
Well, I think what's lingering over everybody, and my mate said this to me, because I said, look, I'm not suggesting for one moment we don't go and buy a number 10. I think we probably need one, and Maddison's out. But we've clearly got a manager that would overlook that for workman-like performances. Can we get by without buying one, and Kulusevski comes back and he uses Kudos to kind of operate in there if he can? I don't know. Like, it's and his response was, "That's great until we get loads of injuries." I'm like, well, maybe we won't get loads of injuries, because maybe the injuries we got were down to a poor medical team and Ange's methods. I don't know. It's all up for.
But also the defence isn't running back towards their own goal all the time, like sprinting to catch someone who's beaten the trap for us. And I think a lot of injuries come from that. Unnecessary. The running's great, right? They should all run, but unnecessary running. I feel like the system meant that probably led to some injuries. I just think that's the case.
I think there's some crazy stat talking about defenders. Jed Spence, I don't think he's been dribbled past yet this season.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been brilliant. And he's playing on the left, and naturally he's right-sided, right? So he's been excellent. And again, Graham, we talked about international football with Alex on the Brazil angle. He's got to be in that England squad, right? When's that announced? It must be soon.
Yeah, it must be next week, is it?
Yeah,
Probably after the... Is it because the next game after the 30th is 2 weeks later, right? So there must be a game in the middle. Again, why are we having international football break 2 weeks into the season? It just doesn't make... I hate it.
Yeah.
But Spence, for me, I don't see anyone better playing at left back at the moment.
Well, Doggy's got a job on to get his role back.
Oh, right? I think he does. It's a bit like with Richarlison. Richarlison's, that's his shirt. Yeah. Now, Solanke wants to get back in. He's going to have to show something different.
Yeah, agreed.
The only thing that I really hope the Richarlison's fitness holds out, because that's been the biggest issue with him, is that he's been susceptible to injuries, and we've been lucky to get 3 games in a row out of him. But I heard an interview with him where he was like, "It's the first full pre-season I've had here, and I feel good." So maybe that plays into it. Like, he's not started the season, half fit, and then got injuries, and then never really recovered from it. And maybe this is his season to finally show us what we thought we had.
Yeah. No. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, we have to talk about it. I sit somewhere in the middle on this, and what it is, it's the Eze deal that wasn't a deal. I looked a bit stupid on my short, Graham. Last week I put a
football moves quickly, Glenn. You can't afford to blink.
Yeah, but I don't know where you guys sit on it, but I have a hard time believing that we agreed personal terms with a player that was then clearly
phoning Arsenal's manager to ask him if he got any jobs going.
Right, like the welcome video, Ian Wright, the going back home, he's like shared a tweet from 2015 or whatever it was.
What makes me laugh is they rejected him when he was 13. They kicked him out of the academy. Like, I'll show you.
A player with that much love for Arsenal. I don't know.
Why would he ever considered it in the first place?
I don't think he did. I honestly don't. I think it was in large. I do think we were a bit played. And Levy's coming in for a lot of flack. There's a good article in The Athletic I read last night. Basically, has Levy made mistakes in the past? Absolutely. Has he haggled over silliness? Yes. I just don't think this was one of those cases. I think it's just unfortunate. But I think we've been done a little bit by a player that wanted a move to Arsenal.
Maybe this was just to force Arsenal's hand.
Maybe. And I mean, just the love that's there, you can see, go there then, mate. Like, you would never... And Frank's comments before the City game were telling as well. I want players here that want to play for this great shirt, for this great badge. So I don't think Eze was ever that player. But Alex, you've been nodding there. What's your view, mate? Did you ever want him? Obviously, as an entity, maybe, but... He's not in it for Spurs, clearly.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think in his case, I always think of who is his manager, who is his agent? Like his agent? No.
Isn't it
something
CAA
there?
or I can't remember what it is now, but
I don't.
I think it's someone that we've usually done good business with.
Okay, because this is the kind of thing that I've seen some agents with questionable ethics.
Yeah,
Doing
CAA
so-
base,
Yeah. Ah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
which is what
So
I thought.
maybe there's someone in his ear. Yeah, you just don't know in this advice to get in, and but as soon as you put emotion into the mix, and that's clearly what
Yeah.
he's got with Arsenal. And I also don't subscribe that Havertz was injured, so in 2 hours they got the deal done. No big deal. It all takes time. I honestly firmly believe it was in the making for a long time, and we were playing. That's my view.
Maybe.
I'm a bit
I
disappointed.
could believe that.
Yeah, that's my view.
Especially after what happened with Morgan Gibbs White, I was just thought, well, finally we've got a player. To be honest, I don't think that Eze was Frank's first choice. Well, he wasn't his first choice, obviously, because
There's no Ronaldo.
Yeah, we
So
went for
it's
Morgan Gibbs White
maybe.
first anyway, right? So it wasn't. I also, where's he going to play in that Arsenal team?
Well, he's not going to play number 10 regularly because Odegaard,
Yeah, the captain. Yeah,
the captain, so he plays.
Saka's injured, but I know, but he plays the right, and then Gabriel on the left.
Martinelli, is it? Who might be
Martinelli,
being sold?
sorry.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. To see what happens. Like,
And they got the big Swedish lump up front.
Oh
Yeah.
it was also Jokers.
look, we'll see what plays out with that. But so another Brazilian that we're constantly linked with. There seems to be a theme with this episode, which is great. But Savinho, does that get done? Do we think? I mean, I think it does. I think it probably gets done on deadline day, though.
I think it depends a lot on what City are still interested in. Do I start a sentence?
Rodrigo.
Rodrigo. They're interested in Rodrigo, and he wants out of Real Madrid.
Real Madrid, yeah.
So it feels like that's the deal that they want to do. And if they can offload Savinho to us for a tidy profit, because they didn't pay but when we've already offered 70 million euros apparently, and they turned it down. So
The player wants...
whatever we end up paying, if we do get him, it will be a club record.
But the player wants it, is what I understand. It's a World Cup year. He's got a new manager in Ancelotti to impress. Similar to Grealish going to Everton, right? He's going to get played.
Game
Needs to
time.
play. He needs to play,
Needs to play. And then I saw, as quickly as we were linked with this defender at Leverkusen, and then it was Arsenal, apparently.
Yeah.
Again, so I was like, I'll stop reading that then. But I'd also argue, do we need another defender? Like, I don't know that we do. You've got Danso, Romero, Van der Ven, Davis,
Dragusin,
Spence, Porro, right?
Yeah.
Vuskovic apparently is going on loan to Hamburg. We seem to be pretty well covered there. And again,
But we thought that last season as well.
True.
Until they were all lying in hospital together.
Yeah.
Romero has signed a new deal, which is a good signing in terms of signing. Like, that's a great piece of business to get him tied down. So I don't know. I think there's other areas of the team that we need to strengthen before another defender comes.
Just something from the Saturday game. Someone said, and Romero is the peacemaker, and that's not something I expected to say in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
Is there? You're smiling there, Alex. Is there? As I understand it, the Argentinian-Brazilian rivalry, is it akin to like England-Germany? You just don't like when it comes to football, you just don't really get along, right? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot more. It's restricted to football.
Yeah.
Not world wars.
Yeah,
not world wars. And most sports, and it's more pronounced. It's like there are many Brazilians who support Argentina, who like her. I used to love Maradona. Was one of my favorite players, growing up, this kind of thing. But the Argentinians have a lot more. They're much more proud, and they really take this much more seriously. But in every sport, every time there's Brazilians and Argentinians playing, I've seen, in tennis, I've seen it. So there's things always get.
We have it with Germany and Argentina.
Well, Argentina obviously Falklands. Yeah. Well,
exactly.
That's right. Because when Ozzy Ardiles had to go on loan to PSG in '82, I think, when the Falklands War started, because it wasn't a particularly safe place for it to be.
Well, you mentioned it, Alex. Maradona. He wore a Spurs shirt once. He played for Spurs. It was in Ardiles' testimonial.
Really?
Yeah. I'll send you
him and Glenn Hoddle on the same pitch.
Yeah, there was
playing together.
Footage of Maradona playing for Tottenham.
I wish I could find a recording of that game.
I'm probably very not English compared to many others in terms of what I'm about to say, but Maradona for me, I mean, I love the guy. I think he was the greatest ever.
Yeah.
Despite the hand of God, which the more frustrating thing I have about the hand of God goal is you're that good, you don't need to do that.
Well, the frustrating thing about that game is that he's remembered for that, but not for the other brilliant goal that he did score as well.
The most fantastic goal in the world.
In a major tournament, you just don't see goals like that.
Like, you talk about the original Ronaldo, a cheat code. It's like Maradona's cheat code, and you didn't need to cheat, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember hearing Lineker talk about him.
Oh, yeah.
Like he would hit the ball up in the air,
yes,
and then bring it down, and then hit it straight up again, and he'd do it like 4 or 5 times.
Well, have you seen? There's great footage of him warming up with that great music in the background. I think he's playing, exactly. Yeah, I think he's playing for Napoli at the time.
Napoli before in European. I think it was Europa something.
Phenomenal player for me.
I saw him live. I was in Rio when Brazil played Argentina 1989 Copa America. So I was 13, and I think it was 19. Yeah, when Brazil beat them. But I just watching him like just warm up, just doing all those things that you see, like hitting, just like with
everything.
It was different.
He never trained. That was his training.
Yeah.
He just.
Yeah, exactly. You could tell. I've seen that there are some players that you really understand that they are okay. This is why they are. And I've been to Naples as well. So you see it's a different level of like Pelé in Brazil was regarded as the greatest footballer, but Maradona is more than it. It's above the human.
I think one of the things I always remember about Pelé is that clearly he was an incredibly gifted footballer, but I think he used to say he'd scored 1,000 goals or something.
But
and like against who though? Like against your kids in the back garden?
Not just that, but seriously, they used to have
they count everything
against like the army, and this is how he was counting the goals.
But 62-0 yesterday.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he counted the goals from the, what was the movie, The Escape to Victory?
Victory, yes. Yeah, exactly. The one he scored against Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, too true. Good stuff.
And then just quickly to go through some of the other people we've been linked with, I guess.
Not Maradona.
We're not, unfortunately not. Ilouche, is it, from Monaco?
Yeah.
But I think, again, he's not someone who wants to come. I think the chances of that are low. I think he'd be a good fit. But I don't think that'll happen. And the one that seems more likely is El Canous. He's at Leicester.
Leicester, but Palace.
Yeah, he was there as a replacement, so that would be a nice spiteful act if we were to do it. And then today I saw again linked with Morgan Rogers from Villa. I don't think they have to sell anymore. I think they sold their training ground to themselves, so they're all right for the.
And they sold Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle, so.
And then Xavi Simons as well, still been linked. I don't think that's likely either.
And not that we would need him now because we've got Polinia in there, but something that I overlooked, Douglas Luiz to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
I've completely missed that. That's a huge signing for them.
Yeah, it is.
That is huge business.
And yet the manager's fallen out with the owner.
Yeah, and they've got European football. It's bizarre.
And they're talking about Ange going over there.
Yeah.
Ange, the one that would replace him.
The Greek mafia. Yeah.
Apparently, the manager, he fell out with Edu. So Edu, who is the
Edu, okay, he's like technical director or
technical director, and the owner basically it's aligned with Edu, and this is why the whole thing fell apart.
But in which case, I can't see Edu wanting Ange, to be honest. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but. I reckon you're more like to see an ex-Arsenal player turn up as manager there than you are Ange.
Could be seeing Thierry Henry there.
Or Vieira.
Where is he now? Because he had a bit of a mare at Palace.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah,
is he in the States? Or?
Yeah, being a shit kicker somewhere. But, well, one thing we haven't done yet is gone around the houses for predictions for Saturday. Graham, you're going. Who are you going with, mate?
I don't know yet. I'm looking for a +1. I'm taking offers. So, I'll be going. I'm going to probably head up about lunchtime, I was talking about driving. Every time I do, there's a problem, so I'll probably get the train.
What do you reckon, mate? What prediction-wise, what do you reckon?
So, they've scored quite a lot at ours in recent games. They've scored 2 goals in 3 of the last 4 trips to Tottenham. I saw a couple of predictions like 2-2 draws. I don't think that they're going to get 2 goals. I think they might score, but I don't think they'll score more than 1. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win.
Yeah, I think we'll win as well. I think it'll be close. I think 2-1 is a fair, or maybe it could even be we could squeeze 1-0 or something. Like I could see, because they're not shit. Like they're actually a good team, and they've got Semenyo, who's in my fantasy team. He's a very good player.
He is.
So I think it'll be a tighter game. A midnight kickoff here Saturday night. So I'll just see what I do. We're attending a 50th, so it depends what time that wraps up and when I get home. And
everyone will be in bed by 9.
Yeah,
trust me from experience.
Yeah.
When you get
so
this age,
it'll be an early finish. Then I'll come back and watch the 9:30 game or 10. Get about 10 and watch some of that, and then roll into the midnight game. I'll see how I'm going. But
it was interesting.
Alex,
sorry, just quickly.
Yeah.
In the last 18 matches against Bournemouth, with won 12, drawn 3, and lost 3.
Yeah.
So and the average number of goals per match is 3.2. So,
I was there April 2023 when we lost. We got it back to 2-2, I think, and we lost in the last minute. And it was right in front of us because that's the guy. And the away fans are right under us in our seats.
Yeah.
But Alex, what's your viewing experience going to be? Because of course it's a 3 p.m. game. You've got an offer maybe there from Graham if you want to go.
We can.
I want to go.
Let's take that offline.
Take that offline.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a possibility. I haven't spoke to anyone yet. So,
do you think we get the result, Alex?
Yeah, I think it will be a 3-1 win. I think Richarlison will score again.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I hope so.
Palhinha. I love that Frank said that Palhinha's still not fit. Once he's fit and he's already makes a difference, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. It's interesting that he's not fit because he's had a full pre-season with Bayern, right?
Yeah.
Does that just go to show the difference in the
did he
physicality of the training, or?
But is it fair to say they didn't really have a proper pre-season because they were at the Club World Cup? Like for a bit, weren't they?
That's true.
Out. Yeah, so maybe their pre-season was a bit interrupted, much like PSG's.
They got knocked out quite early, though, didn't they?
I don't know when they got knocked out. I don't know. I'd have to look back.
No, it was. I think they
quarters or something.
They lost. Maybe they had quarterfinals. I think because I remember they made it to. Or maybe I think they lost. What was it that Bayern that Fluminense beat? I can't remember.
And then we played them, of course.
Yeah.
And they absolutely tonked us with their kids in the second half.
Yeah. He's a key player, so 3-1 Alex is going, and you're going to so let's hope so. I just if I hope of anything, Richarlison to score would be nice, but Richarlison just to get through a game, right? Because now is about
to do 3 games in a row without injury would be
right. So we'd be interested to see, but I didn't have a great deal else to add, Graham, other than to say, as always, come on you Spurs. But I don't know if you've got anything to add as a close us out, Graham. Thanks for joining us, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I don't have anything else, so I'll finish it by saying thanks to everyone who's listened in. Please like and subscribe to the podcast to tickle the algorithm so we can get in front of more Spurs supporters. So, as Glenn has already said, come on you Spurs. Bosh.
Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on, closer each day.